Have you ever tried to give someone some, helpful advice and it just completely blew up in your face? Well, today we're going to walk through a 6-step framework for giving feedback that actually lands like a gift, not like an attack. So, let's dive right in.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You see a friend, a family member, a colleague, and they're making what looks like a mistake. And you genuinely, truly want to help. But the second you open your mouth, boom, they get defensive. And all of a sudden, you're in the middle of a fight you never wanted. So how in the world do we break that painful cycle?
And that's what we can call the feedback dilemma. You go in with the best intentions, you really do, but it just backfires. Your advice gets totally rejected, and even worse, the relationship itself can take a real hit. It is an incredibly common and, let's be honest, super frustrating experience.
Now, here's what's so interesting about this approach. It completely reframes the problem. The solution isn't about scrambling to find the perfect magical words to say to them. No, it's all about the work you do before you even open your mouth. The whole process actually starts with taking a good hard look at ourselves first.
And that brings us to the very first and maybe the most important part of this whole thing. It starts with a pretty radical question. Should you even speak up at all? Before you even start thinking about what you're going to say, you have to figure out if you should be saying anything in the first place.
So this is where we run into our first 3 steps, and they're framed as the 3 gates. Think of it like this. You need a green light at every single one to move forward. First up, the duty gate. Is it actually your role or responsibility, your FARs, to give this feedback? Then you've got the capacity gate. Do you have the kind of relationship or standing where they're actually going to listen to you? And finally, the receptivity gate. Are they even open to hearing it right now? If you get a no at any of these gates, you stop. That's it. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Trying to force your way through those closed gates, that doesn't make you a hero. It just makes your words, well, fruitless and meaningless. All you're doing is wasting your own energy, you're achieving absolutely nothing, and you might even be making things worse. So respecting these gates, that's the first real act of kindness here.
Okay, so let's say you've passed through all 3 gates. You got 3 green lights. It is your duty. They will listen, and they seem receptive. So, what's next? Well, this brings us to the next really critical part of the actual conversation.
Step 4 is all about getting curious and trying to understand why they're doing what they're doing. Is it some kind of compulsion, a majburi, or maybe a really deep-seated attachment, an asakti? Could it be just simple ignorance, agyan, or is it a fundamental false belief, a mithyatva? See, your goal here isn't to march in and start preaching. It's to understand, because you can't really help someone if you don't even try to see it from their side first.
And now we get to step 5, how you actually say the words. And believe me, the delivery is everything. Just look at the 2 options here. On the left, you're doing this all wrong. That's just a straight-up accusation, right? It goes right for the ego. But look at the one on the right. My belief is this may cause harm. It's humble. It's an offering, not an order. It invites them to think instead of just reacting. So what happens if you do all of this perfectly? You pass the gates, you were gentle, you were empathetic, and they still don't change their mind. Well, that leads us to our 6th and final step. And honestly, this might be the toughest one of all, learning when and how to let go.
Right. This is the moment of truth. You feel like you've done everything right. You've been thoughtful, you've been responsible, you were so gentle, and still your advice just isn't accepted. What do you do now? What's the final choice you have left? Well, here we see 2 totally different ways to step back. On the left, you've got that ego-driven response. Fine, whatever, let them suffer. It's just dripping with anger and that little secret hope that you'll be proven right. But on the right, that's something called benevolent withdrawal. This is where you let go of the outcome, you release your need to control it, but you hold on to genuine compassion. You still, internally, hope for their well-being, even if they didn't take your advice. And that, right there, is really the heart of this entire thing. If your real motivation was to help them, then their well-being is what matters most, not whether they followed your instructions to the letter. Real compassion is selfless. It has nothing to do with your ego or your need to win an argument.
So the next time you feel that urge to step in and correct someone, just pause for a second. Ask yourself this one simple question. Is this really, truly for their growth, or is it maybe even just a tiny bit for my own ego? The answer to that question just might change everything.